Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. My name is Santosh, and as we all are expecting the SEBI notification to be out there in the month of April, we have come up with this series of fully solved PYQs, right? And we have already done two parts of it, in which we discussed the paper of 2020 phase 1 paper 2. So today we are continuing that paper. We have till now discussed 25 questions. So today we are going to discuss 10 more questions and one homework question as well. So we are going to discuss from the question number 26 to the question number 36. So the task is to evaluate yourself in each and every question, and challenge is to do the question before me. So why I'm asking you to evaluate yourself? So that you know where you stand right now in terms of your preparation, how much you have already prepared, what extra needs to be done from your part, right, to be able to crack this examination. So we are basically covering all the PYQs one by one, right? So without wasting further time, let's start the session and let's begin our first question. The question number 26 says, if the total assets are 36,000 and liabilities are 16,000, what is the amount of equity, right? So I hope you are doing it with me, and you will be able to do this before me as well. So as we all know, the equation that assets is equal to liability plus equity, isn't it? So total assets has been given to as 36,000. Liabilities we have to find out. No, liabilities is given to us as well, that is 16,000. Plus we need to find out the equity. So it is very easy, you need to minus it. So 36,000 minus 16,000 is your 20,000. You don't need a calculator to calculate this thing, right? So option number A is your correct answer, isn't it? Yes, so option number A is correct answer. Now let's move ahead with our next question, that is question number 27th. It says, what is the full form of CPM? What is the full form of CPM? Consumer price movement? No. Critical path method? Yes, absolutely. So the correct answer is option number B. And we will see what is this critical path method as well in a moment, right? See, in the project management, what happens now? Ki critical path is the longest sequence of the task that must be completed in a project. So any project manager, with the help of this critical path method, finds out that what is the critical path. So in any project there are various tasks, right? And tasks are interdependent as well. So there needs to be followed a sequence in which this task should be performed first, then this task, then this task. So that's how the sequence is prepared with considering the interdependencies between the tasks as well, right? That's how the project manager decides the critical path. Critical path, why we are calling it critical path and why we are calling those activities critical activities? Because it's a sequence of tasks. If any one task delays, then the impact will be seen in the overall project as well. That's why it is called critical path, right? So let's take an example to understand this thing in a very better manner. Suppose a company is listing its activities with relation to the marketing of a project, right? So task is, first task, it has been given the idea of A, and the task is to create the outline, and the duration to do this task A is 1. Now second task is to write a draft, and the team is going to take 5 days to do this thing. Now we have the C task, that is edit and create the final draft, and it is going to take 2 days. Then we have the design post visuals, 4 days, add animations to the visuals, 2 days, upload post, 1 day. So first of all, what the management has done, it has created a list of all the activities that it needs to complete, right? So we have breakdown are all the tasks into various components, right? Second thing is to do is the second thing the management is going to do is to identify interdependencies between the task. And why they are doing it? Because when the management knows na ki this task is dependent on this task, first they are going to complete the previous task, then they are going to complete this task. And if two tasks are not interdependent, then these two tasks can be executed parallelly or simultaneously. That's why they are identifying if the tasks are interdependent or not, right? So they have prepared a list of that as well. List says task B is dependent on task A, task C is dependent on task B, task C and D can run parallelly, right? And task E is dependent of D. Similarly, task F is dependent on CDE. Now the management has prepared the list of all the activities. Now they have to find the path that they need to follow to complete the project overall, right? So they are going to create the network diagram and they are going to estimate the task duration, right? So to calculate the critical path, the longest sequence of the critical task, the management need to first estimate the duration of each activity, then they are going to add the duration of all the activities. So let's understand this with the help of this example. So we have seen the different tasks, right? So we know that task D is dependent on task A. So first we are going to execute, or the management is going to execute task A, that is going to take 3 days. Then only it can go ahead with the task D, which is going to take 2 days. Similarly task E and similarly task F. Now task B is independent, so it can be executed simultaneously with this task, right? And C is dependent on B. So that's how they have created the network diagram. And now what will be the critical path? Critical path will be the longest sequence of the task in terms of days. So 3 days plus 2 days, that is 5 days. 5 plus 4, 9 days. 9 plus 1, 10 days. So it is going to be the critical path. If any of the activity is delayed in this path, what is going to happen? The whole project is going to be delayed. Suppose this task is delayed, then the impact will be very less. Why I am saying impact will be very less? Because see, if this task is delayed now, even then, suppose it is delayed by 2 days, 4 plus 3, 7, and plus it is delayed by 2 days, then 9. Then also overall timeline of the project is not impacted because they are independently running from these tasks. Therefore, the critical path is this, not this. Did you get this? Okay, let's move ahead with our 28th question. That says if the contribution is 40,000, right? If the contribution is 40,000 and sales is 2 lakh, what is the PV ratio? PV ratio is basically contribution upon sales. Very easy. So 40,000 is your contribution, sales is your 2 lakh, it is 1 by 5, isn't it? And 1 by 5 is your 20%. So no need to even calculate it. Answer would be 20% B. Okay, let's move ahead. Nothing to explain here. Simply the formula is contribution divided by sales, that is 1 by 5, and it is equal to 20%. Okay. 29th question. What is the total number of schedule in the Companies Act 2013? So a complete theoretical question. No need to worry if you don't know this answer, because it is not a concept based question, it is a theoretical question. So Companies Act has basically 7 schedules and 29 chapter, I guess, total, right? So the answer is yes, option number C, 7, right? So it has 29 chapters, it contains 7 schedule as well. Let's move ahead with the 30th question. It says, which of the following would be given least priority at the time of liquidation of the companies? Very important question, because it's a concept based question, right? So what happens in a company when any company is liquidated? Company has to pay money back to their creditors, isn't it? So first of all, what they are going to do, they are going to pay money back to the outside creditors. That includes your banks, that includes your debenture holders, right? So whoever has given them loan from outside, they are going to pay them back first. Then they are going to pay money to their own company members like shareholders, right? So question is asking you about the least preference or least priority company is going to give it to, right? So first option says preference share, then says debenture holders, no. Then D option is equity shareholders. Yes, equity shareholders will be given the least priority. First priority would be given to the outside creditors, and that includes your bank, that includes your debenture as well, right? Then after this liability has been paid, then preference shareholders will be paid money back before the equity shareholders, because preference shareholders are given preference at the time of liquidity. Therefore, the name is given to them as preference shareholders. Na? So the least priority will be given to the members, or you can say the equity shareholders to be specific, right? Okay. So I have already explained you this thing. Let's move ahead with the 31st question of the day. That says, which of the following is computer related crime? Again, not a very conceptual question. A theoretical based question. Arms trafficking, obviously no. Tax evasion, no. No. Okay, cyber crime is the correct answer. It was a very easy question, right? So nothing to explain here. Cyber crime is related to the computer related crime, as the name is suggesting, as cyber crime, right? Okay, let's move ahead. Now let's do the 32nd question. It says ITNS 281 challan form is used for what? Again, a theoretical one. E-filing of taxes of the individual taxpayer? No. Depositing advance tax every quarter? No. Refund of taxes? No. Depositing TDS or TCS amount? Yes. So ITNS 281 challan is used for the payment of the TDS and TCS. What is this TDS? TDS is basically tax deducted at source. TCS is tax collected at source. I'll give you an example for this as well. Suppose you are basically residing in a rented apartment and you are paying 2 lakh rupees as rent yearly. So you need to deduct TDS, you need to deduct tax before paying it to your landlord. That's what the law says, right? So you have to deduct money, then you have to deposit this money to the government. This is what TDS is. So before paying anything exceeding the prescribed limit by the government, you need to deduct tax, then you need to pay money, right? And what is this TCS? TCS is tax collected at source. TDS is payment and TCS is collection, right? Okay. Now let's move ahead with the 33rd question. So I want to know how you are evaluating yourself and how many marks did you get till now. So after the end of the session, I want all of you to comment how many marks you got out of 10, because there will be 10 question and plus there will be a homework question. So answer of this homework question and how many marks you have got out of this 10 marks. Okay. Next question says labor turnover is what? See, labor turnover is an important concept in the management as well and in the costing as well. So number of people working in the current period, no. Labor turnover is basically changing the composition of the labor force. It tells you about the change of the composition of labor force. So let's read out the option and let's try to find out what is the most appropriate answer of this question. Option number B says the number of people who left in the organization in the previous period. No, not very appropriate. Rate of change of the labor force. Yes. So option number C is the correct answer, because it is telling you about the rate of change of labor force, by which rate your labor force is changing. Okay. So as I have told you, employee turnover or labor turnover is what? It is the rate of change of the employee force composition. So see, when I talk about composition now, it could have various methods. Why I am saying it could have various methods? Change in composition of labor force might happen due to new recruitment. It might happen if employees are leaving the organization. It might happen when the employer is replacing the existing employees. So there could be various reasons due to the composition of the labor force is changing. Therefore, the formula is not a single formula. the formula for the labor turnover force is going to depend upon which factor you are considering. Okay? So first method to calculate the labor turnover force is a replacement method. So as the name is suggesting here, what you are going to do here, कि while calculating labor force from the replacement method, you are going to take number of employees replaced during the period in the numerator. Then you are going to compare it with the average number of employee throughout the year. So this will be constant throughout all the formulas, but the numerator is going to change a bit depending upon which factor you are taking or depending upon which method you are using, right? So replacement method says what? You need to compare how many employees are replaced during the period. You are not going to take the employees which are separated, which are not replaced. You are not going to include that in the numerator, right? So new employees appointed on the account of expansion, this is also not going to be included while calculating labor force through the replacement method. Only the replaced employees is going to be added here. Okay, then obviously you are going to find it in the percentage form. So you need to multiply it with 100. Next method is separation method. Now in this method, what is going to happen? You need to put number of employees separated during the period. The method says separation method, na? So you need to take what? You need to take number of employees which are separated from the employer or from the organization, and in the denominator it is going to be same. When you compare these two numbers, then what comes? Then also labor turnover comes, but with the method of separation method, right? But the more appropriate method would be flux method. Why I am saying so? Because flux method is going to incorporate both of the elements, the employees which have been replaced and the employees which have been separated, right? So in this method, number of employees separated plus number of employees replaced during the period, and you are going to divide it by the average number of people during the period. And how you are going to calculate this average number of period during the period? Very easy. Opening employees plus closing employees divided by 2, right? Okay. So after the flux method, let's talk about those employees now which are being recruited due to expansion of the company. They are also changing the composition of the company, right? So why we are not considering it while calculating the labor turnover force? See, that's the conflict here. Few experts believe that those employees which are being recruited for the expansion of the company, they should be taken as well. So for that, I have included this as well. So if that need to be considered, so the formula becomes this: number of separation, number of replacement plus number of new joining due to the expansion of the business. So by this, you can calculate the labor turnover force through all of these 4 methods of according to question, what is given in the question. Then you are going to apply the appropriate formula according to the question, right? So I have told you everything. Now this we have discussed, right? Average number of employees in the beginning, number of employees in the at the end of the period divided by 2. That is going to give you average number of employees. Now let's move ahead with the 34th question. Very easy question. The full form of BPO. You have seen this term. You have heard of this term many times, right? It is business process outsourcing. So whenever a company tries to subcontract its activities to the third vendor or the third party, then we call it business process outsourcing. Suppose our company, that is EduTap, doesn't want to do marketing on its own, or you can say doesn't want to build a website on its own. So what it can do, it can outsource this activity to some third party. So it can ask subcontractor to create a website for us, and we are going to pay to that third vendor. That's what we call business process outsourcing. So I have given you a layman example. It is very huge in terms of actual execution, right? Okay. So business process outsourcing is a method of subcontracting various business related operation to the third party vendors. Now let's talk about the question number 35th. That is the last question of the day. And out of 10 questions, I hope, including this question, I hope you are getting 6 plus marks, and if you are getting 6 plus marks, then it's good, right? So you have to comment it in the comment section. But there is one more question, that is homework question, and that is very interesting. Okay, the partner will open a current account when the partner has fixed capital, fluctuating capital, leverage capital. All of these options are not relevant. No leverage capital, not okay. Fixed capital is your correct answer. Option number A. Why? It's the question of partnership. What happens ki when there is a fixed capital, whatever interest on capital is given to the employee, whatever salary is given to the partner, not employee, whatever interest on capital is given to the partner, whatever interest on loan is going to be received by the partner, and what is the salary that the salary is given to the partner, all those adjustment would be done under the current account. So current account is going to open only when there is a fixed capital. But if there is a fluctuating capital, what's the use of current account then, right? If there is a fluctuating capital, all the adjustment would be done in the capital itself. So if there is a fixed capital, then only current account need to be maintained. So a current account is open when the capital of partner is fixed. And in such scenarios, what happens? All the transaction would be that are related to the partners would be basically through the current account, right? Like the interest on capital, interest on drawing, I have told you this, right? And we have the salary to partners. We have already discussed this in the previous slide itself. Okay, let's move ahead with the 36th question, and this will be your homework question, right? Okay, so the homework question says, which language is used for creating web page? C++, SQL, Python, HTML, none of the above. Very easy question. So if you have a basic understanding of the computer, you can easily do this, right? So you have to comment what is the answer of this 36th question, and you have to comment me out of 10 questions how many marks you are getting, right? So that you can evaluate yourself. You have already evaluated yourself, right? Just give me the marks so that I can include few questions extra as well in our next session. Okay, so that's all for today's class. We are going to meet in the next session. Tab tak ke liye tata, bye bye.